friends, welcome here. My name is Oshina. I'm so glad you clicked on this video. I'm sharing all of the books that I read in October. I read Christian fiction, young adult, fantasy, romance, historical fiction, romantic suspense, a lot of different genres, so you're gonna see a lot of different books in this video. I did read a lot of books in October, so I'm going to write all of the books down below with timestamps, with the different genres and star ratings. I think I'm gonna do it in order of star rating, actually. I think I'll do it in order of genre, because that makes more sense, because yeah, there's like a little bit of each genre in this video, so that's how I'll do it. And then any videos that I reference or that these books appear in other videos, I'll link them down below as well. So check the description. There's going to be a lot of resources there for you, and I'm excited to chat about all of these books. Let's get into it. Let's start with the Christian fiction, because the first book is The Voice We Find by Nicole Deese, and this was 5 stars. I absolutely love this book. This is a classic Christian contemporary romance book with so much deep heart faith in it. It's my favorite kind of story. This is like the blueprint of what I love to read. So I loved this book. I devoured it. I do have a reading vlog with this book in it, so I'll link it down below. Love this. So this is the 3rd book in a companion trilogy, and I've talked a little bit about it here and there, but it's the Fog Harbor trilogy by Nicole Deese. The first book, which I'll show you actually, I have the trilogy here. The first book is The Words We Find. The first book is The Words We Lost, and I gave this 4 stars. It's more like a 3.5. There is a heavy grief storyline in this book, and then there's also a lot of flashbacks to a story that I wasn't that invested in, to be honest. So this is, yeah, like 3.5. I still thought the writing was great, and the romance in the main timeline was good. I liked it, but I definitely it wasn't a strong start for me. However, I've seen tons of people love this book, so you might actually love it. I'm just kind of the outlier, and maybe if I read it again, I would feel differently, but I think at the time I just did not want to read about grief. For the most part, I don't like reading about grief because it brings me down, and I don't find it cathartic, I guess, to read about it. Anyways, book 2 is The Roads We Follow, and this was 5 stars. Absolutely love this book. Very, very good, and it made me excited to then read The Voice We Find. And this came out in, I forget actually, July, August, September? I don't actually know. Maybe even earlier than that. Maybe even May. Actually, I think it was May. Anyways, and I did receive a free finished copy from the publisher, so thank you to them. I'm totally honest that this was 5 stars though, and I highly recommend this whole trilogy and anything by Nicole Deese. She is such a great Christian contemporary romance writer, so highly recommend this one. You do follow a girl who is deaf or like losing her hearing, then you follow his brother, you follow a brother and sister. Brother has walked away from God. He feels like he's let him down and that it doesn't work for him, and his sister is losing her hearing. So you follow that duo, and then you also follow a girl who has walked away from theater and is trying to rebuild her life. She's recently moved to LA. This is set in LA. She ends up being an audiobook narrator, and the brother is the producer of it. So those two end up working together. Then she meets his sister, and she and the sister get along, and it goes from there. So that's all I'll say, but I highly recommend this. It's 5 stars. This is a great book to start this video. Okay, let's just keep going. My next 5 star is Shadowed Witness by Angela Carlile. I read this basically completely on a plane, and then I finished it off when we landed, and it kept my interest the entire flight. It was like a 4-hour flight, and I almost finished it, and I was like, I can't put this down. Like, it was so interesting. I think I was just, because all I had to do was read, and plus it was just gripping enough. I actually love this though. Like, this is 5 stars. So this is the companion sequel to Secondary Target. It came out last year, and you follow the sister / best friend that you met in that first book. She has her now story, and there's some kind of health issue that she's working through, and then she also at the very beginning witnesses a guy basically like about to be murdered, and then the assailant, is that what you say? The assailant? Then she like hears something, and the guy runs away, but she blacks out, and then she wakes up, and it seems like nothing happened, and no one is believing her story, except for potentially a detective who knows her and like has had a soft spot for her, but there's been no romance there. But he is the only one who's like giving her a chance, and you follow them like figuring things out. But it was just so interesting. well told. I felt like it was unique enough. Like, romantic suspense kind of all blends together, but this one felt unique just because of that setup. And then I loved the distinctness of the characters. I felt like I could really be in their heads. And then I loved, again, a slow burn relationship. It was such a slow burn romance in the best way. And I was just eating this up. So I gave it 5 stars. I really enjoyed it, and I would recommend Secondary Target as well. That was 4 stars for me. It was a little bit predictable. This one did not feel predictable at all. Like, it definitely, there was a few things that I was like, okay, obviously this person is involved, but then there were so other like mysteries that I was like, what is actually going on? I need to know. And it hooked me. And then plus the romance was great. So I highly recommend this. I loved it. Okay, all the Christian fiction I read was 5 stars. I think that's why I'm like in such a Christian fiction mood, and you're gonna see a video coming soon talking about that, because I'm just eating up all this Christian fiction. It's amazing. So next I will talk about The House on Foster Hill by Jaime Jo Wright. I gave this like basically 5 stars. It's 4.5 because like there's a little bit of slow parts, but it's basically 5 stars. So amazing. This is my first like very highly rated Jaime Jo Wright book, and it made me want to read all of her books now, which is so exciting. So anyways, I think it's just the premise and the 2 timelines were both very interesting to me. Usually when it comes to dual timeline, there's one timeline that is so boring that I just don't care, and it's usually the historical one. But for this one, both of them were actually really interesting. So this is kind of like romantic suspense, a little bit of horror you could say, but like in the mildest sense of the word, and very like faith focused. So in the past timeline, you're following this girl who works with her dad in kind of like an infirmary doctorish setting, clinic setting, and it's set on Foster Hill House. So Foster Hill House in the past timeline, it is where they are like taking care of people. They're like, yeah, nursing them back to health. But there is like a murdered body. There is a dead body found on the property, and they're like, what's going on? So they're trying to figure it out. It looks like the body of the woman was recently pregnant, and they don't know where the baby is because the baby's not with her, but it looks like she clearly just gave birth. So it's like, where is this baby? So in the past timeline, they're trying to figure out who killed the mom and where the baby is, which it was written in such an interesting way. I was like, yeah, what happened? Like, what's going on? And the main girl character was like interesting to follow. I liked her, and she has a nice like detective man helping her, so that was great. And then in the present timeline, you follow a girl who she either inherits or she buys. I think it's an inheritance. She inherits Foster Hill House, and she comes to this town, and people are like spooked out by Foster Hill House, and there's like some weird vibes around it, and she's like, what's going on? She wants to find out what happened in the past, and like, why is everyone so weird about it? And then in the past, you're following who killed the mom and where's the baby. So I just found it very interesting. It was well written. I liked the romance in both, and the mystery was so interesting in both, and the action and the suspense and thrill was very intense in both. Like, there were definitely like death threats going around, and like you didn't know who was safe. And so I just really enjoyed that, and I gave it like basically 4.5/5 stars. It took me a while to like get into it, I think, but once I was in it, I was like, this is so good. So I would give it 5 stars because yeah, it is very entertaining. So highly recommend that one too. Okay, another amazing Christian fiction book, A Light on the Hill by Connilyn Cossette. This is biblical fiction, and it was my Patreon buddy read book. So I loved this book. Okay, if I was being specific, it's like a 4.75 because the last third/quarter was slow, but otherwise from page 1 I was like, this is so good though. So this book is kind of set after the Israelites flee Jericho, or yeah, well, after Jericho happens. It's after the Jericho situation. Some of the Israelites were captured, and this girl was captured, and she was going to become a prostitute within Jericho, but she was rescued before that happened. But before she was rescued, they did like mark her face to show that she is a prostitute, and so it's a scar now. And that was the prologue, the opening, and it was very unsettling. I did not enjoy reading that. So if you are, squeamish about that kind of thing, it was like too much for me. I was like, ooh, like, don't like that, It was like very detailed, not in like a terrible way, but just like I didn't like it. So just so you guys know. But after that, it's not graphic at all. But because of this mark on her face, when she goes back to her Jewish community, all of them kind of shun her and are like freaked out by her because they're like, oh, she was a prostitute, she's terrible, whatever. So she lives with her dad and she expects to never get married because what Jewish man would want to marry her? But her dad ends up finding one who is willing because he has 2 sons and he's a widower, so he just wants basically a mom for his sons. Then something terrible happens, actually, and she has to go on the run. She goes on the run with her dad's like personal assistant guy and then also the brother of the guy that she's betrothed to. So I was like, what is happening? Like, it was not anything that I expected because I thought she would just kind of be in one place and trying to like love herself again and raise these 2 boys and be married. But no, like she was on the run like almost the whole book, but it was written in an interesting way. And I actually don't mind on the run storylines. Like, they do interest me as long as interesting things are happening, because the on the run part allows for really great character development because all the character has is their thoughts, and so they have to really wrestle with themselves. And so that's what I found was happening. And then plus she was like with these 2 men who are like kind of protecting her. It was just so interesting to see those relationships and the dynamic there. So I really loved it. And the whole message of the book is like, your scars don't define you and that God has a greater purpose for your life. And yeah, I really loved it. And I just would say, like, once certain things happen and we were waiting for the next thing to happen, the waiting part was kind of boring and dull. And I'm like, you could have skipped some of this. So it's fine. 4.75. I'd still give it 5 stars. I still would reread this book. The romance was so sweet and so cute and just like what dreams are made of. So I loved it. I would recommend this book, and I definitely would like to continue the trilogy because it was a great setup to meet all these different characters, and I definitely want to see where they all end up. So yeah, that was amazing too. Okay, down the hill a little bit here. The Heart of Bennet Hollow by Joanne Bischof DeWitt, I think. Yes, this was gracious. I ended up giving this 3 stars because this book is a Pride and Prejudice retelling set in America in the Western times, and like coal mining. It's set around a coal mine in a small coal mining town, and you follow like the Bennet family, and there's Elizabeth Bennet, and she's like the main character. She's with her family, and then I don't remember the guy's name, but it was similar to like Darcy. I don't even know if Darcy was in his name. You could quickly tell which character reflected which from Pride and Prejudice, and for some reason it didn't sit the greatest with me. The way that it went, I don't know. I just was like, it just feels like, why wouldn't I just read Pride and Prejudice? I don't know. That was my thought. Whatever. There's some people that love it because they love Pride and Prejudice, and that's great. But yeah. And then I would say like the setting and the storyline was like pretty basic and boring to me. So that's also why it didn't stand out, because they're just trying to figure out, the whole problem of the book is the Mr. Bennet, he kind of owns this coal mine, but he's in great debt that he can't pay off, so he's gonna lose it and lose the land, lose the house, and they're gonna have to leave somehow, like this huge Bennet family. And then the Mr. Darcy character is like there to help. That's like kind of what it's about. It was kind of just like a slowish book, and yeah, the romance was nice, like it was nice, but it just didn't wow me. So I gave it 3 stars, but I do think a lot of people would like this. Check the reviews on Goodreads because there's a lot of raving reviews, and then my little 3-star is there, and I'm like, sorry, you know? But hey, some people might like it, but yeah, it just wasn't for me, but it wasn't like bad or terrible, so I gave it 3 stars. Let's move on to young adult. So everything young adult, it doesn't matter like what genre. So there's some fantasy, some contemporary. First up, I have Fake Skating by Lynn Painter. If you guys remember, I forget which video it was in, I think my fall TBR, I won a Goodreads giveaway, and this is the arc of Fake Skating. It came out in September of this year, and here it is. It came in the mail, and I did start to read it. I got the audiobook, and I was reading it along, and I didn't get very far. I think like, well, I got about 100 pages in. This is a thick book, so I got pretty far. I don't know exactly. It doesn't really matter, but I DNF'd this because the language was so outrageous that it was so uncomfortable to read. I was actually appalled by the language, to be honest, and I would highly not recommend this book. So here we go. I would say that if you look past the language, it's spice-free and it could be an entertaining story, but I couldn't look past the language because the amount of F words in this book is atrocious, actually, and so unreasonable, and I don't understand why that was approved to have that many in it. Adult books don't even swear that much, and I just don't understand, because you do alternate perspectives. You have the girl's perspective and the boys. The boy's perspective, it truly, sometimes every sentence, or at least every other sentence, he would say the F word somewhere where it did not need to be. Like, it just was a part of his everyday language, and I was like so grossed out by it, really. I was like, oh, it's just such a low quality way of writing and of speaking, and I did not want to read it. The girl's perspective was actually good. I actually quite liked the girl's perspective, but I could not read past his. And so anyways, I did get my sister to read this. Well, she asked to read it, and she did read the whole thing. So we are going to make a video together talking about young adult and language and content and all of the things. And there's some young adult books that she has read fully that I didn't, because I just DNF'd quicker, because like she has the time to just kind of like slowly read through a book, because she doesn't review books for a living, kind of, whatever. I don't do it for a living, but I do it, you know, as a resource for you guys. And if I'm gonna like waste my time reading this, I don't have time to do that. So it would have been a waste of my time to fully read this, because I know I would not give it a high rating, and it is what it is. So I'm so sorry to say that. I wish that this could be a good recommendation, but it just is not, you guys. Like, with that many F words, unless it like does not bother you at all, or only just a little bit, maybe yeah, you could read this because there's no spice. But like I said, then I read one that was actually good, and it's called Not If I Save You First by Ali Carter. I gave this 4 stars because this was quite entertaining. So it's kind of unique and different, but at the same time not, but it was still good. So let me explain. So you follow these 2 kids. The boy is the son of the president. The girl is the daughter of the president's like head of security, I guess. Is that right? I think. Secret Service. Head of Secret Service. That's what it is. And the description is pretty vague, so I'll be vague as well, but kind of prologue pre-reading piece of it is you see them as kids and something that happens at the White House while they're kids. And then it jumps in the future, like 10 years maybe, or 5 or 10 years. 5 years. And she and her dad are now living off the grid in like Alaska or something in the snowy wilderness, and we don't know what happened. And she hasn't heard from the president's son, and she's upset. And then all of a sudden the president's son shows up, and then they're together, and then stuff happens, and then she and the president's son are now on the run in the snowy mountains alone because of stuff that happened, and someone's trying to get them. And it was really exciting. It was exciting. It was a little bit teen angsty, like a little angsty for my taste, but I do think teenagers would like it. Now, I don't fully remember if it's completely language free. I don't think it's fully language free, but I don't think there are any F words. So there you go. Check my Goodreads review, because again, I read this at the beginning of October, so it's a little fuzzy, but there's no spice. They only kiss like twice. And yeah, so I would definitely recommend it as a solid young adult recommendation. I found it very entertaining. I listened to the audiobook mostly the whole time, and it was really well done. And I would continue to read books from Ali Carter because she's written adult and young adult, and so far I've liked both. Her adult books definitely have a lot more language. Her young adult books so far don't have much language, so that is good. Okay, then I did read Fearful by Lauren Roberts. Fearful is the like little novella that comes after Fearless in the Powerless trilogy, and it's meant to be like read in tandem with Fearless, so it's similar to Powerful, how you can read Powerless and Powerful in tandem together. You guys, I gave this 1 star. I gave it 1 star. I can't believe it, but like, it was so pointless, is what I'll say. It did not add to the story of Fearless. It actually kind of just made this one character more pathetic. And then it also gave us a perspective of 2 other characters that were not interesting enough to need their own novella. They were so downplayed in Fearless that it's like, who cares about them? Like, why do they need these perspectives? And then the other perspective in Fearful was so strange. I don't understand her thought process and why she thought this was a good idea. Like, how can you read it and like think, yeah, this is like a well plotted, like strongly developed story character arc. It's not. Like, truly, I can't say enough how dumb this book was, in my opinion. Okay, some of you might like it, and that's great. I'm happy for you, but I am so over it. I am so done with this series, and honestly with this author, which is crazy to say, because at the beginning of this year, I was like, let's go Fearless, yes. And now I'm like, you know, I'm gonna just hold Powerless and Powerful in a nice little warm hug, and the rest can be kicked to the curb, because Reckless was the beginning of the end. Like, Reckless isn't that bad. It's a still solid 4 stars for me, but it's the beginning of the end, and it makes me mad thinking about it. So only Powerless is good, and Powerful actually was pretty good too. But reading it now, like, honestly, I need to just finish the story in my head of what I would want it to be, because she truly butchered some characters that deserved better. That's all I'll say. Yes, I'm worked up, but it's because you know how much I loved Powerless so much, and I hyped it a lot on my channel. I talked about it so much. Now I'm like truly never going to talk about the series again. Like, I can't recommend Powerless now because it ends on a cliffhanger and the resolution sucks. Like, I would not recommend it to anyone. So that's crazy. What can I say? But okay, Fearful might have had like 1 or 2 like B words, I think. No F words, and there's no spice. So thank you, because there was spice in Fearless, 1 scene, but it was enough that I was like, really? So I don't recommend that. Okay, we're just gonna go through some DNFs because they were all fantasy. It's so sad. Like, beginning of October, I'm like, let's read some fantasy. Yes, no. Okay, DNF them all. So next DNF is Awakened by Roseanna M. White. I had such high hopes for this book. It was in my anticipated releases video, and I just thought, like, this is so cool, so unique. It's gonna be a Christian YA fantasy. Yes, please. You guys. Most of it didn't make sense. The world building sucked because it felt actually like it was only world building. The characters had no substance to them. It's like the characters were there to tell you what the world was. And the characters were there to world build, and none of the characters did anything important. They weren't interesting. They just like explained the concept of everything, of the magic, of the whatever kingdom, government stuff, issues, past, whatever. And it was so boring. Like, I just could not push through because I just didn't care. So you follow, it's like mermaids, right? See, even this, and it was a while ago, and I didn't listen that much because I was like, no, wasting my time. Follow these sisters that are swimming around, and one of them gets abducted, and you're trying to find this abducted girl, and this the sister is like, what's going on? And they're very anti-magic, but then the other sister also gets captured, and they're like, we need your magic to like do something. I don't even know. And that's all I can say. But it just was not well done. It wasn't well written, in my opinion. Like, it just was not fleshed out well. The characters, just, it was not enough. I was disappointed. So I DNF that. Next DNF, another young adult fantasy, An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. This is the case where I am not interested in enemies to lovers or like forbidden romance. Like, this was more so forbidden romance than enemies to lovers, and I'm just like, no, that's not cute to me, and I don't like that it's being like romanticized, this like bad guy. And okay, he seemed to be not that bad, but I'm just not okay with it though. So this girl is a great painter, and she can paint emotions into pictures. And she ends up painting this fairy's picture, and she paints sorrow into his eyes. And that, for some reason, is bad. So he abducts her, takes her, and he's taking her, I think, to the head kingdom of the fairies for her to explain, I did it by accident, or I didn't mean it, or it's fine, like, don't be upset. And so you're following them on this journey to this kingdom. And I said I liked journey stories, but this one was so cringy because he is like a fairy lord guy, and he's like supposed to be, you know, dangerous to her, but she like doesn't care, and they're like becoming friends. But I didn't like their relationship at all, and I just found the overall world, like, I'm just not interested in fairies. I don't like fairy fantasy. So I don't think I realized that it was truly about fairies when I started this book. So my bad. But yeah, I DNF'd it when I was like, no, I did not like the romance. It was so awkward to me. It came across really awkward. So don't recommend that one either. Okay, 2 more young adult books left. Told you I read a lot of books, so this is gonna be a long video. Thank you for watching. Okay, Better Than Revenge by Kasie West. I did read this in a recent reading vlog, so I'll link it down below. I gave this 4 stars. I did quite like it, and I'll explain why, and then I'll explain some content warnings for you to decide if it's a good pick for you. It follows these kids in high school, and this girl is trying to get chosen to be one of the podcast hosts of their school, and she and her boyfriend are going to it. He's gonna go audition, I think, just to be like a producer or like a behind the scenes guy, and she's gonna go audition to like be one of the main speakers, and she's been prepping for this her whole life and she's very excited. So she goes in and she feels like she bombs the audition, and then he goes in and ends up auditioning for one of the lead roles, and he gets it over her, and she's like, what? How could you do that? And he's like, I mean, you kind of suck at podcasting and I don't, so I'm gonna do it. And she's like, how dare you say that? Break up. So he was painted as a bad guy for sure. So it was like justified that she was upset, but she wanted to get back at him so bad. So there is a revenge plot, and that was rocky for me. I didn't really like that setup because she's like wants to get back at him and make him look bad. And so she actually wants to now try out for the football team that he is on to show that she's a better football player than he is, which I'm like, how does that even work? Okay, I guess it's a co-ed team as well. I don't know. And he has a rival on the football team, and she asks the rival guy boy to be her coach, and he's like, yes, okay. And so it's a romance between them. I was like, okay, Rocky. But then it actually was such a like that's the premise, that's the setup, but like quite quickly down the line she starts seeing like revenge doesn't actually make you feel better though. And I think I just like hanging out with this new guy, and I think like I've got great friends and I'm just gonna be chill now. So like she actually goes through a great character development in that sense. Like there's a great character arc and like learning happening. And I also quite liked her parents. Her parents were a nice addition. They acted like real parents. They cared about where she was and they would talk to her, but it was still like a tense relationship a little bit, but not terrible. And then you did get to see a little bit of how her ex-boyfriend is like learning and growing in himself as well. And then you get to see how she like judged this new guy and she shouldn't have. So she goes through a lot of learning, which it was all done quite well. It was all done in a moral way, in my opinion. So it quite worked for me. Now, the content pieces to be aware of, there's only kissing, no spice at all. And I don't think there's any language. I don't quite remember. Again, check my Goodreads. Sometimes language is the piece that I forget unless it's quite blaring. So there's definitely no F words, but I don't remember if there's anything else. So check my Goodreads review. But then she does have there's 2 side characters that are her friends. There are 2 boys in a relationship, and they show up enough that you definitely know they're there. They're in like a text thread that they have together, and that is part of the story. So I didn't find that it was pushing an agenda with those characters. It felt like it was just checking a box, and the way the 2 characters interacted with each other and like how it was talked about, it was so mild that it's like they weren't in a relationship. Like you could easily have just seen them as not being in a relationship and it would have been the same type of characters, the same impact on the story. So it truly was just checking a box from my reading experience, and it didn't hinder my enjoyment at all. So that is my experience, but if you don't like reading that kind of relationship, I understand. So just so you know, but I still enjoyed reading the story as a whole, and I would still recommend it. So just so you know, that is that book. So I will also link the vlog that it's in because I do talk a little bit more about it in that vlog. Okay, last young adult book is Falling Like Leaves by Misty Wilson. This was kind of more a hyped up, like fall coded young adult book, young adult romance that was supposed to be spice free. So I was like, good, I'm gonna give it a try. I only gave this book 3 stars for a couple different reasons. So the setup is this girl at the very beginning, her parents say that they're separating and the mom is moving far away to Connecticut, and right now they live in New York. So they're moving away, and the mom's like, you're coming with me, and she's like, I don't want to, I want to stay with my dad. And they're like, you have no choice, you have to leave. So she's upset, so she moves to this like small fallish town in Connecticut with her mom, and they move in actually with her aunt and her cousin. And then you also meet this boy who works at the bakery, and they actually knew each other growing up. So this girl is like, oh, hi, what's up? And he's like, hi. Like, he's clearly mad at her for something, and you slowly find out why, and like whatever, but he's the love interest, of course. And like what it's circling around is the town puts on like a fall festival that lasts a couple days, and she volunteers to like help put it on, because I think it's her aunt that's the head of it. So her aunt is like, I need help, and she's like, okay, I'll help. She has been so like one-track minded for so long, and this small town like opens up her world to see like there's other places other than New York, and there's people that care about me that I actually love to be around, and this small town is actually quite nice, and I have other goals other than getting into corporate or whatever her dad was doing. And then there is a cute romance. So what didn't work for me is, first of all, I just found that the characters themselves, I didn't see, it felt more immature, I guess this story did, even though the characters were not necessarily like doing things that were immature, but, or what? We're doing things that were immature. I don't know. I think just the whole storyline and the plot just didn't wow me. And then on top of that, there was a little bit of language. I think there was at least one F word. And then the kiss scenes were just more steamy than I would like to see in young adult. Like, they weren't terrible, but there was definitely like hands touching bare skin, like on stomachs, and no anything else. But I still was like, okay, that's walking the line for sure. And then on top of that, like with a little bit of the language and just how I wasn't super connected to the characters, I was like, okay, not that into this. And I will say, like, the kind of last little bit where she's like really learning about herself, I was like, wow, that's great. But the conflict was kind of annoying and like juvenile. I don't know. I guess I could see how teenagers would like this book, but I wouldn't recommend it. I probably won't like talk about it much just because I think there is better out there. And like, I definitely recommend Better Than Revenge over this book. Although, however, it's just like you give and take, you know, but with Falling Like Leaves, there's only one mention of a character, actually two mentions. One mention of a character who likes girls, and she's a girl, and like a girl character liking girls, and then actually that's it. Yeah, so whatever, it was just like a one line, and then it was never brought up, and like there's no characters like consistently in the book that are like that. So that's nice, that has that over Better Than Revenge, but it has a little bit of language and more steamy kissing than than Revenge. So that's why I'm comparing them, because I read them pretty close together. So anyways, hopefully that's helpful. I wouldn't recommend it personally. Make your own decision. Okay, I have two just like clean rom-coms to talk about, and unless a rom-com is really great and like stands out, they are so forgettable for me. So I have The Perfect Putt written down, which I think is by Annah Conwell, but I don't even know if I remember anything about this book because I listened to it on audio, and I know it's about golf. That's all I got. Like, yeah, I think the girl ends up being his personal assistant, and he's a pro golfer, and she like thinks golf is dumb, so she's like, I'm not gonna fall in love with you because golf is dumb. But then obviously they like each other. I think just the relationship was like not that impressive, and I just found it like boring. So that's 3 stars, and yeah, I don't remember much of it past that. So there you go. And then the other rom-com I read is Season's Schemings by Katie Bailey, and you know, so this is a fake marriage storyline, like with a hockey player, and I think he's Canadian, and she is like, sure, I'll marry you so you can stay in America and play. And it just was fine. Like, I liked it better than The Perfect Putt, because I have 3.5 stars written down here, but it's forgettable, and I've read better Christmas rom-coms, because this is like Christmassy as well, I think. Yeah, because it's Season's Schemings. So that's all I can say. Like, moving on, right? Last book, you guys. Thank you for sticking with me. This is one of the longest wrap-ups ever, but I read a lot of books, obviously. So the last book that I'll talk about is One by One by Freida McFadden. This is a thriller, and I did read this. I listened to the audiobook, and this was in a reading vlog recently, so I'll link that down below. But this was just so fun. It's less than 300 pages, and I just thought it was very entertaining. So you follow these characters that are all going to a retreat. So there's 4 couples, so 6 people total. Wait, three couples, 6 people total, that are going on a couples retreat. And it's told in the perspective of one of the ladies, one of the wives, I guess. She has 2 kids with her husband. And at the beginning, they clearly don't like each other and they want to get a divorce as soon as their kids, like, are old enough. But they're like 5, so they're just staying together for the sake of their kids. And it's just, like, not a good marriage anymore. And then they, like, pick up these other 2 couples and they're driving and the van breaks down in the middle of nowhere because the retreat they're going to is also in the middle of nowhere. So there's no service, of course, so they get out of this van and they are walking, whatever, and they're trying to find the retreat center because they're like, we're at least close, whatever. And then slowly, one by one, it's not graphic at all though, so don't worry about that. It's like barely any language. There might have been like 1 F word, but maybe not even that. Like, I think there's at least some language, but I don't remember it standing out. And there's no spice, like it's fully fade to black. The one married couple does do it, but there's 0 details and nothing happens that you see. So that's nice. And I think just the way it was told, because so you're in the perspective of this one mom, one wife the whole time, and she's like freaking out because of stuff I won't say. And then every once in a while you get a chapter in this anonymous chapter, and it's slowly telling the story of this person from childhood to now. And it's obviously one of the 6 people on this retreat. So I was trying to figure out, who is this anonymous chapter? Like, I really thought I had it pegged. I was like, no, these are all the clues. It is this person. And I was so wrong. And I was like, what? Okay, like that was good. And really, like, how it ended and how it all turned out to be, I thought it was really well done and very entertaining. So I enjoyed it. I'd recommend this one. I think it's one of her better ones that is like pretty tame. Like, it's not super outlandish, I would say. Because like, I would say that Never Lie is pretty outlandish, and I don't even know. One by One, I'd recommend it, you guys. So there you go. And that is the last book I will talk about, I think. Let's just double check everything here. It's not the last book, because I did read one Christmas book. Oh, okay, I should have talked about this with the Christmas books. Whatever. Okay, actual last book is The Christmas Ring by Kingsbury. Wow, I'm like losing my voice, you guys. I've been filming for almost an hour. Wow. Okay, this is going to take a long time to edit, but it's okay. The Christmas Ring by Kingsbury. I liked this book, didn't love it. It's a 3-star for me because it just felt too surface level. I think this could have been a full-length book. I think it shouldn't have been a novella because there was a lot of like time jumps and just kind of like saying, oh, and then our relationship built without showing how the relationship built, because the romance was so rushed in my opinion. And yet there was a lot of time jumps. Like, it was slow burn in that sense because it wasn't like insta love, because it was like months that they were getting to know each other and falling in love, but you didn't see any of it. It just like, they would have one scene together and then like, so for the next couple months we talked a lot. So that, I didn't love that. And that's the main thing, to be honest. And then in the end of it, I didn't find the ring that compelling, the ring storyline. The beginning was so good. Like the opening chapters of like seeing the origin of the ring, and in the war and whatever, this guy finds a ring when he's on the Western Front of the war, and it's super intense. But then it slows right down and the intensity is gone, and I just felt like I would have wanted to see more somehow, or maybe more flashbacks. I don't know. But yeah, it was just okay. But I do think a lot of people would like this. It's a very cozy book and like not very like emotional, I guess I would say. Like, it was just an easy read. So if you want something that's just like, you know, tame, straightforward, whatever, has a super happy ending and like a great faith message too. Like, it's definitely all about Jesus and the reason for the season. And there is a very beautiful mother-daughter relationship in here, but I still would give it 3 stars because of what I just said. So there you go. That is actually the last book, because I'm glad I double checked, you know? Yes, that's actually the last book. So thank you so much for watching this video, you guys. If you stayed to the very end, give yourself a gold star, okay? Put a star in that comment box because I want to see how many people made it to this point. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you for sitting here and listening with me. I actually just love talking to you and I love sharing these books. I hope my reviews were helpful. I'm going to write all of them down below and link videos down below, and I'm just so happy to be here with you guys. So thank you again. I'm excited for this month of November. If you missed my November TBR, I'll link that down below because I am shifting my content a little bit. I'm shifting the books that I'm reading and what I'm focusing on. I'm going to be studying the book of Romans in the Bible, and I'm going to share reflections on the community tab of YouTube. So check that out as you can. And again, I appreciate you guys so much. I pray God's blessings all over you, and thank you for the way that you have supported me. And I just pray that He will be glorified through my content. Our hearts would be turned toward Him. So again, thank you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.